Well, it has now been less than 24 hours since a deadly shooting in Dallas, and everyone is still processing what happened, from the police department to those officers' families and friends. Tonight, we're learning a lot more about the fallen officer and why he switched careers to join the force. Chief Eddie Garcia is sharing new details about the suspect's past, and we'll show you how an entire community came together tonight to honor those officers. Izzy?
Chris, let's first get you up to speed on what we've learned. This all started around 10 o'clock last night. Officer Burks was sitting in his squad car in between calls when the suspect walked up and shot him. Two other officers were called to the scene, and that's when the suspect also fired at them. Senior Corporal Carissa David is still in the hospital tonight after the suspect shot her in the face. Senior Corporal Jamie Farmer is recovering at home. We've had crews covering this tragedy for more than 24 hours. Matt Howerton is outside Dallas Police headquarters, but we start tonight with the emotional tributes. Jobin Paniker is at the site of the vigil for Officer Burks. Jobin?
Well, Cynthia, there were two vigils being held tonight for Officer Burks, put on by his fraternity brothers. That's how a lot of the news of his passing got passed around and is being felt very hard today. They came here to say what many already knew. What's up, man? That Darron Burks was one of a kind.
This is a witness of who he was.
The Dallas officer just feet from here was shot and killed while in his car while on duty.
The uniform made him that final hero.
In attendance were his fraternity brothers in royal purple, his brothers and sisters in blue, and so many others who would color Darron Burks the same way.
He was a shining example of how to do it the right way.
Darron studied at Paul Quinn College, went on to become a teacher, worked with kids before he decided to start his career as a police officer.
He never drank, he never smoked, he was high on life.
There was a place for Darron at this vigil.
So we wanted to make sure that we still represented his presence here.
His shoes, his hat, and also someone who was practically a sister.
I can't believe that this is happening. It's so unreal.
Known to so many people and by so many names.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
But they say there was only one Darron Burks.
Oh, man. Oh. Consistent, never changed.
And as one speaker put it, he will be missed and not forgotten. In Dallas, I'm Jobin.
Thank you, Lord. Earlier tonight, we caught up with Officer Burks' fraternity brothers, and they told us why he made that career change after spending years in a classroom. He forged a lifelong bond with Frederick Bishop and Ken Frazier 20 years ago when they all pledged Omega Psi Phi at Paul Quinn College. Bishop is a former Dallas PD detective and recently helped his frat brother transition from teaching to police work.
I'm angry. I'm hurt. It's a little brother. Unprovoked, I think it was a coward move. Then I feel for his family.
Burks told Bishop some of the disruptive kids in his classroom were facing horrible circumstances in their communities, and Burks felt as if God was calling him to serve them in a different way.
Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia has described the shootings as targeted attacks. We want to bring in Matt Howerton now for where the investigation stands tonight. Matt?
Yeah, Izzy, Chief Garcia calling this an execution of Officer Burks. There's a squad car that's been parked outside DPD headquarters if you'd like to come by and drop off some flowers in a memoriam sense for him. But we learned so much about the suspect today, so much about who he was, and his social media footprint really gives an incredible look inside his mind in the days and weeks leading up to this shooting. Photos, videos, posts rooted in unfounded paranoia and also religious rhetoric.
You see, like these demons.
This 30-year-old Corey Cobb Bay.
I'm telling you, bro.
The author of the worst tragedy DPD has seen in 6 years, and some answers to the question why.
Our officers were targeted for nothing more than the uniform they wear and for the brave and honorable job that they do.
Found on Cobb Bay's social media. Here he is filming a drone in his area, calling it the devil. Video that was shot right before doing the unthinkable.
The suspect then pulled out a handgun and executed Officer Burks as he sat in his vehicle.
This 46-year-old Darron Burks, he was in his squad car in a parking lot off Ledbetter Thursday night between calls when Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia says Cobb Bay approached the vehicle, shooting and killing him with little to no warning. Garcia says Cobb Bay was filming the moment.
Is there any problem, officer?
Much like he did earlier this month, approaching an unmarked unit of officers, asking them why they were in his neighborhood. The gunfire captured on a nearby doorbell camera. A dispatcher sending 2 other officers to the scene to check on Burks when they heard an unusual sound on his radio. Both exchanging gunfire with Cobb Bay when they were fired upon, Garcia says. Both were hit. One officer, Carissa David, hit in the face and still hospitalized. Cobb Bay showing off a pistol and a shotgun with a high-capacity drum magazine on Facebook. Similar weapons police say they recovered after a chase with him that ended in Louisville after Cobb got out of his car and approached them with the shotgun. 6 Dallas officers shot and killed him.
Feel like somebody was chasing him, just like the police was after him.
Cobb Bay's father says his son was acting strange the past few days. He had just lost his job. Police taking evidence from their home after the shooting.
Gave him his badge. I've been seeing a picture circulating around of me shaking his hand with his badge. He was so proud.
And this, the first officer to die in the line of duty that graduated the academy under Garcia. Speaking with Burks' mother, he made her this promise.
And that her son will be remembered as a hero.
In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
And here's where we stand right now. Detectives are still looking into everything Cobb Bay said and did leading up to this, and one officer remains in critical condition.
Everything we have learned about this case can be found at WFAA.com. That includes a full timeline of events, starting with the first calls from the dispatcher. It's also where we will post any updates on funeral services for Officer Burks.